Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. And it's finished West Brom, which Albion nil, Arsenal 4, and it's in some ways it's a statement win for Arsenal. That's been somewhat coming. It's been coming, but we've got to cast our back mind. I think the first word that came to mind after this game, in some ways, is karma. It's karma because 2 weeks ago, or about 2 weeks ago, Big Sam Allardyce takes on the job for West Bromwich Albion. He's replacing Slaven Bilic. And one of the first comments that he makes, he says, I think Arsenal are in a relegation battle with us. That's what he said. And, this is Arsenal 2 weeks ago. They're kind of struggling. They're going through a bad patch, a really bad phase, probably one of the worst in their history. It's been a while since you've seen them put in those kind of performances. And then, it's like 2 wins on the bounce, Chelsea and Brighton, and we come to this game. And this was an important game. This is an important game because Chelsea and Brighton, in some ways, they play the kind of football that probably suits Arsenal's players. They're a little bit more expansive, a bit more expressive. They leave a few spaces for teams to counter them. They like to have the ball. West Brom are completely different from both those two teams. They like to sit back. They like to, break at speed. They like to soak up pressure and then go forward. They let the opposition have the ball. So what could Arsenal do when the onus wasn't on the opposition to attack, was on them to attack? What can Arsenal do? And they've responded today big time. And the conditions were absolutely problematic. I think it was one of those games. It's just snowing all over the place. It's like it's one of those those cliched cold, windy night at insert team here, and that's what it was today. But I credit to Arsenal. They came out of the blocks firing. They looked good from minute 1 to minute 90. They never gave West Brom a sniff, and they was absolutely excellent. And I think Sam Allardyce might just be regretting making those comments because I feel like maybe there was some kind of statement being issued. Maybe there was some kind of in the back of Arteta's mind, the back of the players' mind, they were thinking this is what it has come to for us to be told that we are relegation battlers. I think today they kind of just smashed all of that. I think this win now, 9 points from the last 3 games. I think this win now probably confirms. If anybody was having any doubts, I didn't think they were in a relegation battle. But if anybody was thinking or even trolling about them being in a relegation battle, I think now these 9 points have kind of confirmed that they won't be in that relegation battle. Because honestly, I can't see. It was academic, and I think they've kind of now gone away from that. Now the question, I think, look at how tight the league is. Because if you look at the table right now, Arsenal are just 3 points off of Chelsea. They played a game more, and there are teams above them that have played lesser games. I mean, there's Aston Villa have played a game less, or 2 games less. Actually, Manchester City have played 3 games less. So it's a little bit the table is lying at this point a little bit, in terms of the games that the teams have played. But they are now 3 points off of Chelsea. The level in points with City. City and Chelsea play tomorrow, so guaranteed that they would have made up points in at least one of them. So that's something that they can take with them, as a positive as well. But again, it's so tight. They're back in those European places. But how did it all go down? I think again you've got to credit the two young gunners today. Martinelli didn't start today. It was Lacazette and Aubameyang who started, but then you had Saka on the right wing, and you've got Emil Smith-Rowe again starting. And I've got to say, Bukayo Saka, there's a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk. I did that as well around Martinelli and Smith-Rowe. But Saka has been the man from Arsenal this season. He's been absolutely brilliant throughout this campaign. Hasn't always got the rewards that his players deserve. I think Arsenal have been, they haven't necessarily maximized everything that he has done because of the players around him. But today, I think you saw what Saka can do. You saw it against Chelsea, and you can see it today as well. And now you're starting to see that if Saka is surrounded by good players, he is going to be a star for Arsenal. He's definitely, I think at this point in time, I think if he keeps this trajectory up, I think he'll be a better player than Mason Greenwood. A lot of people rate Mason Greenwood very highly, but I think Saka could be a much better player than Mason Greenwood if he keeps this trajectory up, and if Mason Greenwood continues to flounder as he has, over the last few months. He hasn't necessarily stepped on. Saka has. I think it's been brilliant. So I think he's going to be a much better player than Mason Greenwood. But my Arsenal got a real treasure trove of young players, and I thought Saka, he started the first goal was brilliant from Kieran Tierney. I think he benefited a lot from the conditions that existed, because it was slippery. It was not conducive for both sides. I think the first goal he kind of slipped past the The fullback, I think the snow had a little bit to do with it, but you can't take anything away from him. He was brilliant, and then he shoots with his right foot. And that's something that's lost, is the fact that he shot with his right foot and still managed to go. And I think Johnson was a bit flat-footed as well. I think he was kind of expecting maybe a cross or a near post shot, but he went far post and he scores it. That second goal, though, I think that second goal for me is Arsenal's goal of the season. It has to be Arsenal. I haven't seen a better goal that Arsenal have scored this season. They haven't scored many, but I think that was just the goal of the season. It was brilliant. There was move, up one touch passing, goes from one play the next. Saka starts to move, and then he's right at the end to finish it off. A brilliant pass from Emil Smith Rowe, and 2-0 up. And I thought, that's it. I thought this, that's the kind of goal that deflates teams, because a good cracking goal sometimes makes you go, okay, well, you catch those, you get those sometimes. These are the kind of goals when you cut open a team, when you completely look clueless with what to do. Those are the kind of goals that just makes you go, what can you do? Like, as a defender, you think, how are we supposed to live with this? How are we supposed to counter this? There's just no answer. So I thought that for me was the goal of the season for Arsenal so far. Maybe we'll see better goals. I thought that was the goal of the season. The pass, the move, just brilliant. Arsenal in their prime, and it's 2-0. And for me, the game was over at that point. I think most people would have admitted the game was over at that point, because you don't see West Brom scoring 2 goals in a game. You rarely do not. And then of course the second half come out and they just decide to score a third and a fourth. Lacazette gets 2 and he's enjoying life. I thought Arsenal managed that game really well, because it was easy for them to, because sometimes what happens is you're 2-0 up and you're seeing yourself at this really, high level, and you think the game almost becomes easy and you get complacent, and sometimes teams let the other team back in through that. They didn't. They stuck to the task. They knew what they had to do. They kept doing it. They got a third, they got a fourth, and then they had the sense not to try and go too much, because sometimes you overextend yourself and that's when you get injured, or you might pick up a red card or something might happen. They didn't. They stayed again in their shape. They stayed, organized. They picked their moments. They weren't as clinical, but they picked their moments, and obviously the substitutions would have helped give some of their players a rest, and they saw that game out 4-0, no problems, all done. So that was brilliant. I thought the one thing for West Brom, which Albion I think was important for Big Sam, is we know they're toothless in attack. We know they're not going to score a lot of goals, and I think that's kind of something that we just have to accept. If you're a West Brom fan, if you're a Sam, you just have to accept that goals are going to be hard to come by. The problem, though, is how easily they were getting cut open by Arsenal. Now, fair enough that this is an Arsenal that's in top gear, top form. They've got players who can pass around, but you still, as if you're going to be a team that's going to sit back, soak up pressure, you can't allow yourself to be cut that easily. You can't allow yourself to just allow teams, to get past players, to just run past, run past your defenders and take shots from wherever you want, or put in crosses. I mean, Tierney was playing like a left winger, is getting crosses in every time. You can't allow that to happen if you're trying to defend. If you're trying to get 10 men behind the ball, that doesn't work. And I thought that is something that Allardyce has to think about, is how he's going to structure that, because you can't do anything about not having goals up front, but defending as a unit, as a team, that's something that you have to work on. And I mean, an Allardyce team, if an Allardyce team is not defending well, then what is it doing? Because they're certainly not going to get you goals anyway. So I mean, that was something for me that was interesting to highlight. Aside from that, though, I think one thing that I noticed, and this is, I don't want to blow smoke up Arsenal, by saying how great they were. I think everybody played really well today. I thought everybody had fantastic. And for me, Bukayo Saka was the man of the match. I think it's between Saka and Tierney. I don't think you can go wrong with either. But I would just give it to Saka, because I thought the impact that he had. I think for Tierney, as a defender, it's an easy game against West Brom. Yes, the conditions are hard as a defender, but then considering West Brom were toothless, you can't really put much stock in the clean sheet, because it is West Brom, and his offensive work was brilliant. But again, I thought he was helped by how bad West Brom were. Same goes for Saka, but I just thought Saka, the goal that he scored, he actually started that move as well. So I just in his overall play, even the third goal was kind of it was a big contribution on his part with that cross. So the 3 players who could have scored that goal, the third goal, by the way, the 3 players who could have scored it, Aubameyang, they didn't manage to do it. Smith Rowe didn't manage to do it, and Lacazette got it, but Saka did a lot of work. So I'll say Saka. I'll say that Saka is the man of the match for me. But you can't go wrong with either Saka or Tierney. I mean, either one of them, I think you could give it to both of them. Amazing, incredible players. But I don't want to go too much in that. But what I do want to talk about, one observation that I wanted to make, is Arsenal look transformed with Emil Smith Rowe in the side. It's one player, but what he has done is he's taken a bit of pressure off of Stammy Ceballos. Ceballos doesn't feel like he's got the whole weight of the creative weight of Arsenal on his shoulders. He's now looking a little bit more free. I think Saka doesn't have the creative weight on his shoulders as well, which he was trying to have. So he looks good. The one more thing, the benefit is because he's left-footed, he can play on the right wing. So Arsenal don't have to play Willian, don't have to play Pepe, and that automatically it again makes them look that much better. And it allows Aubameyang to then play as a winger and Lacazette as a striker because he's got somebody on the right who can actually use his left foot and who can actually do devastating things with it, with the ball. And I think that's the impact that this whole setup has now had for Arsenal. But what it shows us is there's a lot of talk these days about number 10s and what their role is. And I agree that the classic number 10, that role is obsolete. I don't think you can ever have a number 10 like an Ozil or a Mata. You can't have those number 10s anymore. Players who are just focused on finding on finding gaps and finding passes. You need number 10s who can track back, who can do the defensive work, who are energetic. But you still need that creative side from a number 10. You need a creative number 10, somebody who can pick passes, who can be dynamic with it. Is still a massive, massive, massive advantage to have. And I've been seeing it with so many teams this season. If just having that one player whose role is to kind of pick passes, kind of pick through defenses, even if it's just as simple as finding the right pass at the right time. It sounds simple, but it sounds basic, but it's such an important part. But having someone like that in your team, it makes a whole world of difference if you can have a good player. I think Smith Rowe today, he did his defensive work, but then when he was in the final third, he almost always picked the right passes. And I think that's something that you cannot underestimate. I still needed. I thought that was an interesting lesson for all of us, that sometimes we think that football changes, and the more football changes, sometimes it still remains the same. I think there's still a value to having a number 10, to having a proper number 10 in the team, but the role has evolved a little bit from being just creative side to also allowing, also keeping in mind that you've got to do your defensive responsibilities. I thought that was something that I noticed today. And same with Mateus Pereira today as well. That I thought he put a good pass in as well. Maybe in a better team he would look much better. But at least there's something there to be said for those players. But I mean, Arsenal fantastic. It's finished West Brom 0, Arsenal 4. Arsenal 3 wins on the bounce now, 9 points, and I think this is a win for Arteta, and I think Arteta can now take a lot of confidence from that. They're going to have the FA Cup starting, which is their favorite tournament of the last decade. Maybe the one to of the last 10 years. That's been sort of their favorite tournament. So maybe they'll get back on the road with that one as well. But that would bring up confidence. I think from Arsenal's point of view, though, the higher up the table they go, I just wonder what that means for the Europa League campaign, because that I think is going to be the test for Arteta, is how can he manage those two competitions. If he can manage that and he can start getting results, I think that will be key there. But we'll see what happens. This is a long way away. For now, Arsenal have won, and they are back in business, back in those European conversations that are going to take place. But thank you for watching. Please smash a like if you enjoyed the video. Share your comments what you thought about the game and about Arsenal's goals. Are Arsenal back? Are they ready to make another tilt in the league? We'll see what happens. But please do remember to subscribe to the channel as well. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.